Hey guys, so we are talking about 90 Day Fiancé. So this is the finale. This season was super amazing. I mean, kept me interested from beginning to end. Even got a few of my friends to tune in. It was just amazing. I'm just going to do like a brief summary of the couples. We're not going to stand too much on each one. So we'll start with Ricky and Jimena. Ricky used Jimena for a spot on the show. Ricky is, I don't know if you guys watch the show Insecure, but it was a scene where Lawrence was dealing with the banker girl. And after he played her, she says, "You are a fuckboy who think that he's good." That is what Ricky is. Ricky is a terrible person. They really think that he's a good guy because he apologizes when he talks and he talks very calmly, but Ricky, your actions are despicable. You use Jimena, like what that taught me was never, ever, and I hope everyone learned from this, is never become second place to or part B to anybody's plan. I don't care how much they beg. I don't care about if they jump in the water and they can't swim. Never be a plan B for anyone's plan. She was a plan B to the girl with the braces that he was really interested in. And it shows that he never really wanted her. And as sweet as Jimena was, as beautiful as she is, as kind hearted as she is, he just, it wasn't the fantasy girl that he thought that he was getting. So then when he's telling her, "Oh, like, yeah, I told my ex-wife, like the one that I'm currently going through a divorce with, that, oh, it's not serious because I didn't want her to make it hard for me to see the child." Well, what would that matter if you guys are not together? That's when you get the courts involved. Why would that matter if you guys are not together? Because what that says to me is that you must be still sleeping with her for her to believe that. That's the first thing that came to mind. So that's why when the reunion comes and he says, "Oh, I'm back with my ex-wife or ex-girlfriend," whoever it is, the one that the daughter is very familiar with, it didn't surprise me. But it just shows just how disgusting of a person you are, that you played with Jimena's heart, her time, her emotions. Like, the smartest person and the wisest person out of all of this was the girl with the braces who stood you up, or nearly stood you up, on the first date. She was the wisest because she escaped early. Like, regardless of whether you would have been serious with her or not, she was just not willing to even give you her time, not even for TV purposes. So that's that. Um, we didn't touch on Karina and is it Paul? Karina, like, I don't blame him for wanting a paternity test. Only because to me it just doesn't make sense considering that he's gone half the time. You at first, like, and each time you get pregnant, the first time you got pregnant, it was like your whole family was willing to be like, "We can raise this baby without you," this and that. Like, it's, who says that to someone that is the father of the child? Like, you knew, and I know another YouTuber said that as well. Like, you knew in some way that the time didn't add up. And I don't blame, like, honestly, especially with you flirting and all these things. I mean, yes, is it rude for Paul to ask that? Absolutely. Is it disrespectful? Absolutely. Should he be asking someone that he married that? Not really. But you guys are living on in entirely different countries, and he's been gone working, and it just didn't add up to him. So he's like, "Listen, you add that in the fact that you're communicating with all these other men," and her excuse was, "Well, the men that I'm communicating with are don't even live near me, but neither does Paul." So we don't know, but um, I get it. I get why he wanted paternity tests. However, Paul, if you're going to keep asking someone for these things to prove themselves, you shouldn't have married her in the first place. Like, I don't know whether you actually believe that it's strictly that, or also if you have a hard time believing that someone like Karini is even dealing with you. I also think that you're crazy. You're keeping hair locks and things like, I'm just in awe. But I hope it is his. I hope you guys, you know, get it together and become happily ever after. Okay, Rachel. Rachel and oh geez, I forget his name. Um, but the violent short guy in London. um, I think that they can work out. I think that they can work out. People are saying that, oh, she shouldn't have taken her daughter, but her daughter is also young, and she's not going to leave somebody that young for 2 to 3 weeks either. You know, like, well, she could have. You're right, she could have. But, you know, like, I didn't see the problem with that. However, as the father of the first daughter, who was not supposed to, whose face can't appear on TV, I would be going for full custody if I was him, because you're bringing over a man that you don't know, you've only met one time, you married with a violent record, and you think that you're going to have him around my daughter carelessly just because you want to be careless. I mean, yes, there's a such thing as love at first sight and all of that. I believe in all of that, how, in some ways, but when you have children, you still have to be a little bit more careful. Um, I would be going for full custody if I was the father of her first child, of her first daughter. Um, I do want him to get his violent rage under control, which I think he will. You know, I'm rooting for them. I am really rooting for them. Um, then we also have, oh my goodness, the couple that gives me that, like, Tyreek is an idiot. Tyreek, you, and there's nothing wrong with having a preference, but you can have a preference without putting down someone else. Tyreek, you are so caught up in the exoticness of the Asian women that you're blinded by lust. Hazel, who has named on plenty of occasions that she is using you for a way to America. She didn't say using, but she definitely says things like, well, there goes my way to America, or, you know, like, I need for a better life, I need of this and that, blah. Like, she's been very honest with her intentions. Like, you didn't need to get your brother involved to find that out. She's been saying this since episode 1 or 2, whichever one that she appeared on. And yet you still have the audacity to disrespect Michael and Angela's by saying, oh, you know, Nigeria, you know, that's a scammer, you know, like, that's scammer capital. You know, when actually the Philippines, with all due respect, there's a lot of scamming going on there as well. You can research it. But to say that, and you're basing this off of where someone is from, without even getting to know the person. And is Michael trying to scam Angela because he wants a better life and he wants to be in America? Yes, because he's expressed it in some ways as well. But so has Hazel. So how dare you point your finger at Michael when the very girl you're with has made that clear? Like, you are an idiot, Tyreek. And the only time that you said anything decent was when you were, you know, giving a assessment on Jesse and his narcissistic, diva-like behavior. That's the only time. Other than that, you can hush up. Jesse and Darcy. Darcy, even though I'm glad that she stepped away from Jesse, she still gives me weak. You know? Jesse is he is a delusional, mentally damaged human being. And we are not blaming that on age or anything, because he's not a child. He's a grown man. Just because he's younger than her doesn't mean that he's not a man. And he portrays himself as if he's so much wiser than her. He feeds off of Darcy's insecurity, and he uses it to his advantage to put her down just to make himself feel better about himself. So any chance and opportunity he gets to have her questioning herself and looking like a maniac or falling out on the floor and doing ugly cries, he uses that to his advantage. And he takes advantage of it to put her down. It's as if it's as if he gets an erection off of putting Darcy down. It's pathetic of him. Like, you blame everything on her, and we as the viewers, we're looking and we're just like, as if we're feeling as if we're in the Twilight Zone. Like, what is this? Like, I know he doesn't just think that she's the only one at blame for this. Like, this is insanity. It is pure insanity. And when you saw at the, reunion that she is slipping away, like, you start to try to weasel your way back in. The moment she said, oh, I actually loved him. Oh, you know what? Can I give a hug? And you're going to use it to your advantage to where when the cameras go off, to go to her and be like, oh, let's go for a drink. Oh, let's go to the hotel room. And Darcy, to me, is weak enough that she would give into temptation with Jesse. He's going to use that to get in the sack with her again. And she gives me the type that will do it. She's going to do it. Mark my words. I would love an update on if they got busy or not. Somebody needs to find Darcy's Instagram and ask her that, because I'm sure she has. What else can I say about Jesse? Jesse coming back on the stage when it was strictly just the Americans giving their assessments of each couple. That was the most controlling. That was the craziest. That was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And I'm mad that the producers and the host allowed him to remain. I am so upset with that, because no, this is not your time. Well, I'm getting ready to leave. Well, actually, you can leave because the segment is over. For you guys, we're strictly asking the Americans now. So you can leave. And I'm glad that Tyreek did not curve his tongue. And he still said, this right here is the most toxic thing that I've ever witnessed. Like, I'm glad that he still told it like it is. Angela thought that she was on an episode of Jerry Springer. Angela, you never intended to marry Michael. You used him for a spot on this show because you are fame hungry. That is what that was for. You had no intentions, no way you want me to believe that you spent $7,000 to fill out for the K1 visa, all of that type of stuff, when you barely could get on a flight to, back to America to change your flight. When you were saying that your account was empty from a total of $900, but you wanted to believe that you spend 7 times that amount to start the process for Michael to come over? No, because if you did, no way you would be so quick to let it go. You used it for a part on this show, and you guys have all seen the first episode, just the way that Darcy is speaking about, I was embarrassed watching it, this and that. You all have seen the first episode. You all have seen when he calls her an elder. That was on the first episode. So why are you acting surprised now? It's now making me starting to believe that the producers are in on your fake storyline. I think that Michael actually thought that he had a chance of coming to the U.S. and now realizing that no, Angela's using you for a storyline. That's all that is, you know. And you never had any tension. Like you knew that. And for you to jump down Rachel's face with your finger, this is not Jerry Springer, sweetheart. I know you were on Jerry, or was it no? You were on Maury Povich. This is not Jerry Springer. You don't put like you are so chaotic, as Tyreek said. Like you feed off of it, and I'm glad that Tyreek did not give you the energy that you were looking for. One, because he's a man. So while people are saying, "Oh, he's weak," like you know, like yeah, you weren't gonna talk no more. No, he's not gonna go back and forth with a woman. What you want to do? Hit her? No. He sat down and he let her have that moment, that crazy moment by herself. So that's my review for 90 Day Fiancé. Can't wait for next season. I hope we do an update on these couples, which I'm sure they will. We'll find out through another part of the 90 Day Fiancé of after the vows. You know, they always do a whole other segment. So thank you guys for your time. Bye.